It's a Cirilla! Siri!
Siri! Where's the girl?
Where's Siri?
I'm gay.
He's looking for Siri. I need to find Siri. Where is Cirilla? Have you seen Cirilla? Siri! Siri! Where are you, Siri?
Siri, Siri, are you here?
Gay!
We're looking for Siri.
Where's Siri?
Siri disappeared. Siri.
Anything to get Siri back, right?
Actually, I'm a lesbian.
Geralt, have you had any more wild dreams about Siri? Has he told you about Siri, Regis?
What if I can't save her?
Well, there's still no sign of Siri.
We know Siri is connected.
I'm a lesbian.
Siri. Siri. Siri is what we all need. Everyone wants Siri. I do want to save Siri.
Lesbian.
Find Siri. Find Siri.
Want Siri?
Siri will be safe.
I need to protect Siri.
Find Siri.
Wait, where's Siri? Siri is still at risk.
Let me take you back to December 2019. The Witcher drops on Netflix during the holiday season, and people are genuinely excited. Henry Cavill, fresh off playing Superman, is starring as Geralt of Rivia. The marketing is everywhere. Netflix is positioning this as their answer to Game of Thrones, their own epic fantasy franchise that can run for years and spawn multiple spin-offs. The source material is already beloved. Andrzej Sapkowski's books have sold millions of copies worldwide. The video games, particularly The Witcher 3, are considered masterpieces. The foundation is solid. The potential is enormous. Season 1 gets a mixed but mostly positive reception. Critics give it decent reviews. Audiences are engaged enough to make it one of Netflix's biggest hits that year. Henry Cavill is perfect casting. He's a genuine fan of the books and games, and it shows in his performance. There's this energy around the show where people are willing to forgive its flaws because they can see what it could become. Social media is full of people sharing memes, discussing the timeline structure, debating which book storylines will appear next. For a few months there, it really feels like Netflix might have caught lightning in a bottle. But then, cracks start appearing before Season 2 even airs. Henry Cavill starts doing press for the new season, and if you pay attention to his interviews, he's choosing his words very carefully.
The showrunner has a particular vision for the show and for the characters in the show. The books, certainly the first few, is very much from a Geralt perspective, with the shift of the showrunner's vision where it's an ensemble cast more so than a singular lead, and the perspective is shifted to be almost more of a Cirilla Yennefer perspective. It's about finding my character's place within that vision and making sure that I do everything I can to be as faithful to the source material as possible that I can be within the structure set out for me.
He talks about how the showrunner has a particular vision that differs from his own. He mentions that the show is shifting from Geralt's perspective to more of an ensemble cast. He emphasizes multiple times that he's doing everything in his power to stay faithful to the source material within the structure he's been given. Now, when your lead actor is diplomatically saying he's fighting to protect the integrity of the character, that should set off alarm bells. That's not normal. That's someone trying to warn the audience without burning bridges with the people he works for. Season 2 arrives, and it confirms what Cavill was hinting at.
Maybe I gave them some ideas, but they never listened. They never listened.
The show deviates significantly from the books. Storylines are changed or invented entirely. Character motivations are altered, the focus shifts away from Geralt toward other characters, particularly Yennefer. And look, ensemble casts can work. Game of Thrones was an ensemble, but the difference is that Game of Thrones was written as an ensemble from the beginning.
As Geralt of Rivia, that he's basically invisible in The Witcher Season 4. Someone forgot to CG The Witcher into his scenes in post. Liam Hemsworth isn't the problem with The Witcher's 4th season. The Netflix fantasy epic continues its downward spiral with a bloated and mostly boring new chapter. The Witcher Season 4 review. Liam Hemsworth is as charismatic as a bollard in a wig. The Witcher Season 4 review. Look how Netflix massacred my boy. The first season of the fantasy series without Henry Cavill is dragged down by the Hemsworth in the room.
The Witcher books are not. They're primarily Geralt's story, with other perspectives woven in to support and enhance his journey. When you fundamentally restructure that, you're not adapting the source material anymore. You're writing fan fiction with a massive budget. The audience scores for Season 2 drop compared to Season 1. People start voicing complaints online. The devoted book readers are frustrated. The game fans are confused by the changes. Even casual viewers notice the quality isn't where it should be. Then, the real bombshell drops. Beau DeMayo, a writer who worked on The Witcher before moving to X-Men '97, goes public with allegations that the writing staff openly mocked the source material. He claims writers in the room had contempt for the books and games, that they saw the fantasy elements as silly rather than taking them seriously. Whether you believe every detail or not, the fact that someone who worked on the show felt comfortable making those claims publicly tells you something about the creative environment. Around the same time, there are reports of tension between Henry Cavill and showrunner Lauren Schmidt-Hissrich. Nothing explicitly confirmed, but industry insiders start suggesting that Cavill's insistence on staying faithful to the books was creating friction. He reportedly would push back on script changes, suggest alternatives that were closer to Sapkowski's writing, and advocate for giving Geralt more focus. On any other show, having your lead actor care that much about the character would be seen as a blessing. Here, it apparently became a problem. Season 3 rolls around in 2023, and the viewership takes another hit. The numbers are noticeably down from previous seasons. The critical reception is lukewarm at best. And then, in October 2023, Henry Cavill announces he's leaving the series. He puts out a statement thanking everyone and saying his journey as Geralt is coming to an end. Netflix simultaneously announces that Liam Hemsworth will be taking over the role and that the show will conclude with Season 5 instead of the originally planned 7 seasons. They frame it as a creative decision, but let's be real. When your lead actor walks away and you immediately cut 2 seasons off your plan, that's damage control. That's a company realizing they've lost their main draw and need to wrap things up before the bleeding gets worse. The reaction online is immediate and brutal. Fans are angry, not at Liam Hemsworth specifically, but at the situation. Everyone understands what happened. Cavill didn't leave because he got a better offer or wanted to pursue other projects. He left because he was tired of fighting a losing battle to protect the source material he cared about. The Witcher was his passion project, and the people running it didn't share that passion. Hemsworth becomes the target of unfair criticism simply for accepting a high-profile role, but the real anger is directed at Netflix and Hissrich for letting things get to this point. For over a year, Netflix goes mostly quiet about The Witcher. There are occasional updates about filming, but no real marketing push. Then, about a month before Season 4's scheduled release, they drop a trailer. The response is devastating. On YouTube, it gets ratioed immediately. The like-to-dislike ratio is abysmal. Twitter lights up with negative reactions. Instagram comments are flooded with complaints. Every single piece of promotional content Netflix puts out gets buried under criticism. People are making side-by-side comparisons of Cavill and Hemsworth, pointing out the visual differences, questioning the casting choice. It's a PR nightmare. Netflix tries to generate buzz with additional clips, behind-the-scenes footage, interviews with the cast. Nothing works. The audience has made up their minds before the show even releases. They've been burned too many times. They watched the quality decline over 3 seasons. They saw their favorite actor walk away. They read the reports about the writing staff's attitude toward the books. By the time Season 4 actually drops, most people have already decided they're either hate watching it for content or skipping it entirely. The review embargo lifts, and the critical response is worse than anyone expected. Rotten Tomatoes shows a 60% critic score, but when you dig into those numbers, it's heavily padded by smaller outlets and websites nobody's heard of. The top critics, the major publications people actually read, give it just 33%.
The American Society of Magical Negroes.
If you do your job well, you will run out of monsters to kill, will you not? Your entire being is dedicated to finding someone who you fear you failed. Whatever you dream, pay attention, not to the fear, but the joy. It will lead you. You've spent a lifetime battling monsters and men. Fear has become a familiar guidepost to you. I sense in you a deeper desire for balance.
We saving the damn world.
Metacritic has it sitting around 60 from professional reviewers. Those are bad scores, but they're not catastrophic on their own. Plenty of shows survive with mixed critical reception if audiences connect with them, but the audience scores? Absolutely brutal. Rotten Tomatoes shows Season 4 with a 20% audience rating. Let that sink in. 1 in 5 viewers who bothered to rate it said it was good. Metacritic has it at 1.8 out of 10. IMDb is averaging around a 4 out of 10. These aren't just bad scores. These are some of the worst audience ratings for a major streaming show in recent memory. The only other thing in the Witcher franchise that scored this poorly was Blood Origin, the spin-off that was universally panned and quickly forgotten. The actual reviews are even more damning than the numbers. One critic writes that Liam Hemsworth is cautiously not awful while being not good, which might be the most savage piece of faint praise I've ever read. Another says he's as charismatic as a ballard in a wig. Someone else writes that he's so invisible in his own show that it's like they forgot to add him in post-production. The consensus isn't that Hemsworth is terrible, it's that he's aggressively mediocre, completely forgettable, and lacks any of the presence or charisma that Cavill brought to the role. And the worst part is, that's not entirely his fault. He's working with material that gives him nothing to do and a character that's been sidelined in his own series. Let's talk about what actually happens in Season 4, because the structure of this season is baffling. It opens with over 10 minutes of recaps and reshoots. First, there's a 2.5-minute previously on segment where they carefully avoid showing Henry Cavill's face. His version of Geralt doesn't speak a single line of dialogue during this recap. They show events from previous seasons, but only from angles or shots that don't feature Cavill directly. It's awkward and obvious, like watching a divorced couple try to edit their ex out of family photos. Then they follow that up with 8 solid minutes of reshot scenes from earlier seasons, now featuring Liam Hemsworth digitally inserted or fully reshot. They redo the fight with Vilgefortz, they reshoot conversations with Yennefer, they recreate moments that audiences already saw with Cavill. It plays like a parody. Imagine those old Austin Powers movies where they digitally inserted Tom Cruise into scenes as a joke, except this is supposed to be serious. It's meant to help audiences adjust to the new actor, but instead it just highlights how much of a downgrade the recasting represents. Most viewers probably needed this extensive recap because they tapped out after Season 2, and based on the completion rates Netflix reportedly saw, most people tapped out again after sitting through this opening. The season is based on 2 books from Sapkowski's series, Baptism of Fire and The Tower of Swallows. In the novels, these are heavily focused on Geralt's journey. He's gathering companions, tracking down Ciri, dealing with various threats, and growing as a character. The show takes that foundation and completely restructures it. Instead of Geralt being the central figure, the season splits its focus between 3 main storylines: Geralt's journey, Ciri's time with the rats, and Yennefer forming an alliance of sorceresses. And of those 3 storylines, Geralt gets the least screen time and the least interesting material. When Geralt is on screen, he's wandering through forests with a group of companions that include some dwarves, a vampire played by Lawrence Fishburne, and a character named Cahir who's on a redemption arc. They're supposedly on an urgent mission to find Ciri before it's too late, but the show doesn't treat it as urgent. They spend an entire episode debating whether to cross a river. Not crossing it, mind you, just talking about crossing it. Then they spend another episode actually making the crossing. These are the kinds of pacing decisions that make you wonder if anyone in the editing room spoke up about how slowly the plot is moving. Geralt fights exactly 3 creatures the entire season. 3. In a show called The Witcher, about a professional monster hunter, the main character gets 3 fight scenes spread across 8 episodes. And 2 of those 3 fights end with the revelation that the creature was actually a misunderstood woman who didn't need to be killed. The only straightforward monster fight is against a troll guarding a bridge, and even that scene is rushed through to make room for other content. When fans complain that Geralt is sidelined in his own show, this is what they mean. He's barely present, barely active, and barely relevant to the main plot. There's a campfire scene in episode 5 that perfectly encapsulates the show's problems. The entire episode grinds to a halt, so each character can take turns delivering exposition about their backstory. There's no narrative reason for this. It's not a natural conversation that develops organically. It's the writers realizing they haven't developed these characters properly and scrambling to dump information on the audience. One character's backstory turns into a full musical number, another becomes an animated sequence. These might be creative choices on paper, but in execution they're jarring and they completely kill the pacing. We're watching what's supposed to be an urgent quest, and the characters are sitting around a campfire doing show and tell. Meanwhile, Ciri is running around with a group called the Rats. In the books, the Rats are genuinely dangerous bandits. They're charismatic but violent, alluring but deadly. Ciri's time with them represents her descent into darkness, a period where she's lost and making terrible decisions. It's supposed to be morally complex and psychologically challenging. The show takes all that nuance and flattens it. The rats in season 4 come across like annoying, streaming personalities rather than hardened criminals. They're diverse in the most artificial, checkbox way possible. They deliver quippy dialogue that feels written by someone who's never met an actual teenager. They're irritating rather than threatening. Ciri's storyline with the rats focuses heavily on a romantic relationship with one of the members. In the books, this relationship is deeply problematic and traumatic. Sapkowski doesn't shy away from depicting manipulation and abuse. The show sanitizes it completely, turning it into a straightforward love story between two women. Now, there's nothing wrong with depicting a same-sex relationship. The problem is that by removing all the darkness and complexity, the show loses what made this storyline meaningful. It becomes just another generic romance plot, and it takes up a huge amount of screen time that could have been spent on literally anything else. The rats are so insufferable that when they meet their end later in the season, it's genuinely satisfying. There's a character named Leo Bonnart, played by Ciarán Hinds, who's a human bounty hunter that kills witchers for sport. He's menacing, competent, and commands every scene he's in. When he hunts down the rats and kills them brutally, it should be a tragic moment. We should feel sad watching Ciri's companions die. Instead, it's a relief. The audience is actively cheering for characters to be murdered because they're that annoying. That's a spectacular failure of characterization. Then there's Yennefer's storyline, which becomes the actual focus of the season. The show takes a minor element from the books and expands it into the most prominent plot thread. Yennefer travels across the continent recruiting powerful sorceresses to form an alliance. They train together, share motivational speeches, and prepare for battle against Vilgefortz. The show treats this like the Avengers assembling, complete with individual character spotlights and team bonding moments. These women learn hand-to-hand combat in what amounts to a single montage scene, despite most of them being academics who've spent their lives studying magic rather than fighting. When the big battle finally happens, it's the season's largest action set piece. And Geralt isn't in it. He literally sits out an entire episode of his own show so the camera can focus on Yennefer and her team of sorceresses fighting the season's main villain. They win the battle, Yennefer portals over to wherever Geralt is, tells him what happened, and then they move on. A major character from the books and games, someone who's supposed to survive into much later storylines, gets killed off during this battle. The show treats it as a minor inconvenience rather than a significant loss. This is the fundamental problem with Season 4. The show is called The Witcher. It's based on books called The Witcher Saga. The main character is literally named The Witcher, and yet Geralt is the least important person in his own story. Yennefer gets the most screen time, the most character development, the biggest action sequences. Ciri gets an entire romantic subplot that dominates multiple episodes. Geralt wanders around the forests, occasionally fights something, and reacts to information other characters bring him. He's passive rather than active, sidelined rather than central. Lauren Schmidt-Hissrich finally got exactly what she apparently wanted: complete creative control over The Witcher without Henry Cavill pushing back. And the result is a show that barely resembles its source material, alienates its core audience, and fails to attract new viewers. The budget for all 5 seasons combined is approaching $250 million. For that money, Netflix could have funded multiple smaller shows. Instead, they poured it into a fantasy adaptation that started strong and systematically destroyed its own goodwill through creative decisions that prioritized showrunner vision over source material fidelity. Hissrich was hired based on her previous work with Netflix and her writing credits on shows like Daredevil and The Defenders. On paper, those credentials look solid, but writing for superhero shows doesn't automatically translate to adapting epic fantasy. The skill sets are different, the storytelling approaches are different, the audience expectations are different. Having worked on prestige dramas doesn't mean you understand how to balance character development with world building and action. Jennifer Hutchison went from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul to writing for The Rings of Power, and that show has its own massive problems despite her pedigree. The Witcher was originally planned for 7 seasons. After Cavill left, it got cut to 5. When asked about the shortened run, Hissrich suggested there might be more stories to tell in the future, but acknowledged this particular story needed to end. The reality is that audiences abandoned the show long before Netflix officially pulled the plug. The viewing numbers dropped season after season. The social media engagement turned overwhelmingly negative. The cultural conversation moved from genuine excitement to morbid curiosity about how bad it could get. In interviews, Hissrich responded to criticism by saying that nobody's taking away the books or the games, that everyone can have their version of The Witcher. That statement misses the point entirely. Fans didn't want a version of The Witcher. They wanted an adaptation that respected what made the source material work. They wanted a show that understood why people fell in love with these characters and this world in the first place. They wanted writers who saw the assignment as an honor rather than an opportunity to fix something they thought was broken. Modern fantasy television has this recurring problem where showrunners seem more interested in subverting expectations than delivering what audiences actually want. They take established stories and characters, then change fundamental elements while insisting they're making improvements. Sometimes it works, usually it doesn't. The Witcher Season 4 is a perfect example of what happens when creative ego overrides source material respect. You end up with something that satisfies nobody. The book fans are alienated, the game fans are confused, casual viewers bounce off because the show can't decide what it wants to be. Season 5 has already been filmed. It's in post-production right now. That means everything we're going to see in the final season was shot before Netflix, and the creative team knew how badly Season 4 would be received. They can edit around some problems, maybe reshoot a few scenes, but the fundamental story is locked in. And that story has to wrap up plot threads from multiple books, plus incorporate elements from the video games, all in what will probably be 8 episodes. The pacing issues that plagued Season 4 are only going to get worse when they're trying to cram that much story into that little time. The Wild Hunt, which was teased throughout Season 3, doesn't appear in Season 4 at all. Major plot threads are dropped or forgotten entirely. Characters make decisions that contradict their established personalities. The world feels smaller and less interesting than it should. Everything that made the books compelling has been either removed or watered down to the point of irrelevance. What's left is a generic fantasy show that happens to use familiar names and locations, but doesn't understand what made those names and locations meaningful. There's this broader pattern in modern fantasy adaptations where shows look visually similar despite being based on completely different source material. Someone online posted a comparison of 4 different fantasy shows, including The Witcher, and the aesthetic is nearly identical. Same color grading, same costume design, same approach to casting, same types of cinematography. It's homogenized content designed to appeal to the broadest possible audience while taking no creative risks. The Witcher should look and feel distinct from Game of Thrones, which should look and feel distinct from the Rings of Power. Instead, they're all blending together into an indistinguishable mass of expensive, forgettable television. The saddest part of this whole situation is that it didn't have to be this way. The foundation was solid. The source material is beloved for good reasons. Henry Cavill was passionate about getting it right. Netflix had the budget to do it properly. All the pieces were in place for The Witcher to be a massive success that ran for years and built a sprawling franchise. Instead, it'll be remembered as another cautionary tale about what happens when the people making an adaptation don't respect the thing they're adapting. 1 month out from Season 4's release, the conversation around The Witcher is mostly people marveling that Netflix is bothering to finish it. There's no excitement for Season 5. There's no speculation about how they'll wrap up the story. There's just resignation and a vague curiosity about whether the finale will somehow be even worse than what came before. The show is dead. It's been dead since Henry Cavill walked away. Season 4 just made it official. So, what did you think of The Witcher Season 4? Did anyone actually make it through all 8 episodes? Are you planning to watch the final season? Or are you done with this franchise? Let me know in the comments what you think went wrong and whether there was any way to save this show after Cavill left. And if you want more deep dives into Hollywood's biggest disasters, make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.